All right, boys and girls, today in math, we are working with Module 3, Lesson 7. And today you're going to need either a piece of scratch paper or, if you have it, your whiteboard, because we're going to be doing a few things. Before we begin, I would like for you to be reminded that as we're writing things out or drawing things, if you need more time, please feel free to pause the video and take the time you need. All right, let's begin. We're going to start by reviewing some of what we learned in our previous lessons, where we're looking at place value and the different ways that we can show or form a number. Let's go ahead and start with this number right here, 157, and I want you to take just a second to write down what that would look like in unit form. Now, as a reminder, unit form is where you break it out into its hundreds, its tens, and its ones. You should have written 100, 5 tens, and 7 ones. Now I want you to take that same number and I want you to write it in expanded form. Again, expanded form is where you take the value of each of those place values and you write it as a number sentence. You should have written 100 plus 50 plus 7, because 100's value is 100, 5 tens has the value of 50, and 7 ones has the value of 7. What number is this? 50 plus 7 plus 100. If you said 157, you are absolutely correct. Here again, it's showing it in expanded form, but this time they've just put the place values in a different order. This time they're putting the value of the tens first, then the ones, then the hundreds. What number is this? 7 plus 100 plus 50. Again, this is also another way of expressing or showing 157. They just put the place values in a different order. This time it's starting with the ones, then it's putting the hundreds, then it's putting the tens. Either of these are a correct way of stretching it out into expanded form. Typically, when I'm trying to write it out in expanded form, I always start with my largest unit and then move down to my smallest unit. So I'm going 100 plus tens plus ones. How many ones are in 157? 157 ones. If I were to show this in just ones, I would need 157 tiny little ones. Now, how many tens would I need in order to make 157? Well, I would need 15 tens. 15 tens. If I'm skip counting by 10, I would need 15 of them in order to get me to 150. Would we be able to get those 7? No, because we would need 7 individual ones cubes. But I can use 15 tens to make it up to 150. Now take 157 and tell me what digit is in the ones place. 7 is the digit that is in the ones place. This is different than telling me how many ones are in 157. How many ones are in 157? We're looking at the total amount. But when your teacher is asking you what is the digit, then they want you to focus specifically on the number that is sitting in the ones place. In this case, the number is 7. Now, what is the value or amount of the digit in the tens place? If you said 50, you are absolutely correct. There is a 5 in the tens place, which is saying that you have 5 tens. 5 tens is equal to 50. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. 5 tens equals 50. So this time they're not asking about the digit, They're asking about the value or the amount that it is worth. Let's take those concepts that we know about place value, unit form, and the way our numbers come together, and let's stretch it just a little bit. I'm going to show you a number, and I want you to write it in its standard form. Are you ready? Here we go. 465. How would I write that in standard form? Well, you should have written 4, 6, 5. A 4 in the hundreds place, a 6 in the tens place to represent 60, and a 5 in the ones place. 217. You should have written a 2 in the hundreds place, a 1 in the tens place, and a 7 in the ones place. Even though we read the word form 217, 17 ones is the same as having 110, 7 ones. How about 901? 901 should be 901. Now you'll notice that there's a 0 in the tens place. That's because we don't have any tens. When we don't have any tens, we don't just leave it blank. We have to put a 0 there as a placeholder. Otherwise, our hundreds and our ones squish together and make a completely different number. So you have to have a 0 there to represent the 0 tens in this number. How about 2 tens, 7 hundreds, and 3 ones? Look carefully. You should have written 723, or 723. We have a 7 for the hundreds, a 2 for the tens, and a 3 for the ones. Now try 13 tens, 2 ones. Now this one you might need to stretch your brain a bit and think back to when we bundle and exchange. 13 tens, 2 ones is the same as writing 132, because 13 tens you can count up and bundle a group of 10 and exchange it for a 100, leaving you with 3 tens left over. Now let's go ahead and match up the word form or unit form with the standard form. 234. Put your finger on the number you would draw your line to. Very good. 234. 3 ones, 7 hundreds, and 4 tens. Excellent. You would draw your line to 743. What about 2 tens, 3 ones? 2 tens, 3 ones is the same as 123. 470. Excellent job. We would need to find 470. A 4 in the hundreds place, a 7 in the tens place, and a 0 for the ones place. It's holding that placeholder. And finally, 9 hundredths, 3 ones. We would have 903 with that 0 in that tens place holding down the fort, holding its spot because we have 0 tens. Now on your paper or your whiteboard, show me 12 ones. You should have shown me 12 dots or 12 cubes. however you drew it. Now show me 12 ones as tens and ones. We're going to have to stop and think about what we're going to do to get those tens. Well, I know that 10 tens equals 1 10. Now I know that 10 ones equals 1 10, and 10 tens equals 100. So if I use that knowledge, I can count up 10 ones, bundle them into a 10, and have 2 ones cubes left over. So 12 ones is the same as saying 1 tens and 2 ones. What is the total value of 1 10 and 2 ones? 12. Very good. Now show me 12 tens. There is my 12 tens. I want you to express for me 12 tens as hundreds and tens. Again, we're going to need to bundle and exchange. I'm going to count out 10 of my tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to bundle them together and exchange them for a hundreds block, which leaves me with 2 tens left over. So if I express 12 tens as hundreds and tens, then I should show 102 tens. So what is the total value of 102 tens? 120 is the correct answer. Now show me on your whiteboard 15 ones. There's my 15 ones. Express those 15 ones as tens and ones. Remember, count up to 10 and exchange it for a tens rod. I should have 1 10 and 5 ones. What is the total value of 1 10 and 5 ones? 15. Excellent job. Now show me 15 tens. There's my 15 tens. How might I express these 15 tens as hundreds and tens? Well, I would need to count my group of tens, bundle, and exchange. If I did that, then I would have 105 tens. What is the total value of that 105 tens? I would have 150. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use half of our whiteboard. On the first half of our whiteboard, or our scratch piece of paper, I want you to express 21 using tens and ones. You should have drawn 2 tens and 1 ones. What would be the total value of 2 tens and 1 1? 21, correct. On the second half of your whiteboard or your scratch piece of paper, express 21 tens using hundreds and tens. You should have drawn 2 hundreds and 1 10. Well, what is the total value of 2 hundreds and 1 10? If you said 210, you would be correct. Now let's stretch that brain just a little bit further and answer this question. Which is bigger, 21 ones or 21 tens. Very good. 21 ones is smaller than 21 tens. 21 tens is bigger because when you express it in hundreds and tens, you've got 2 hundreds and 1 10. It's all about bundling and exchanging for that next larger unit. This is the end of our lesson for today. I'd like you to go on and complete the remainder of your assignments or get on your Zoom call with your teacher.